Okay, so we are back here ready to color grade Zach and Siobhan's wedding highlight film. It is about a 7-minute film, which is the really higher end of this package, this tier package. This is a 6 to 7 minute edit. And so we are going to color grade it. I have a whole video on my profiles, and so I'd encourage you to watch that. But essentially, I shoot in two profiles. One is S-Log3, and the other is Cine 4. I learned this pretty early on that S-Log3 is not a great profile for anything indoors, just because in S-Log3 you're supposed to overexpose your shots by 2 stops. And I did something stupid. I watched a video on it and decided that was my profile for a wedding. All the outdoor stuff looked amazing. The inside stuff was super grainy, which they have plugins for that I know now. But I kind of morphed into this S-Log3 profile and this Cine 4 profile. I give a lot of credit to a guy named Cody Blue, who really is the one that showed me the Cine 4 profile. And I really like it. I like it a lot. I actually would love to shoot an entire wedding in Cine 4. But one of the reasons that I shoot in S-Log3 is because you can purposefully and accidentally overexpose your shot and without any negative things for it. The Sony cameras are 8-bit color, so you're not getting all of the science that a lot of other, cameras would have, full-fledged video cameras, camcorders would have. So S-Log3 to me is almost like the way photographers shoot in RAW. It's a bigger image, there's more stuff that you can do with it, high dynamic range, depth, to the coloring process. It's just really nice to have. So all of that said, we're going to be using essentially 2 programs. We're going to be using a program called Film Convert, which is really going to help unpack both profiles, and then kind of a finishing touch LUT called Color Finale. I've used Color Finale for a really, really long time, but Film Convert I've just been using in 2018 and forward, and I actually really like the results. I never start color grading the drone shots because for whatever reason drone shots are just harder to color grade, so I kind of skip those and move on. I've got a couple shots here that are probably going to end up being pretty blue, but right in the edit here you can just kind of follow along with my process. Again, this is not a sponsored video, although Film Convert, if you'd like to send a sponsorship my way, I'd love to continue making these for free. But so I open up Film Convert on one small clip, which is actually preferable. I turn the grain all the way down. I don't ever want to do that. And I always use this FJ8543D is my profile, I guess. It says convert to, but it's really like a profile. And then I open up the color controls, and you pick your specific camera. No matter what, if it's the A7S II or 6500, I'm always just putting it A7 Mark III because it's what I'm familiar with. And so in here you'll see that there's a Cine 4 profile and an S-Log3 gamut that I use. Gamut3.cine is actually very specific, the profile that I use. Again, watch the film on that and it'll explain a lot. So we put this profile on and we look at this image and we go, yuck, that's kind of gross. Yeah, so we mess with the exposure here. Could be a little bit dark, and could be that we want to warm it up a little bit. But this is before, which is like nutty. Like, how crazy is that? And that's after. The other thing I do is with anything that's S-Log3 is I tone down the effects of Film Convert. So there's 2 things in here. There's the film color, which essentially is the thing that unpacks the S-Log, right? And then we've got curve. So this is like your S-curve. If I were to use Final Cut's curves, you'd take a look at this And a lot of times, so let's put this to 0, even though it's going to look crazy. A lot of times you'd end up creating your own S-curve in order to make things look, I mean, that looks freaking crazy, but that's, you know, what this is alluding to. So we've got, oh, I want to get completely out of color curves. So I just tone it down a little bit. If you take a look at the curves, you'll notice it's contrast essentially. So it's making the darks darker and the lights lighter. And when it's at 100, I feel like the whites get a little bit blown out. See how as I come down, you see a little bit more in here. But it's just not a great tone. So cinematically, I kind of like this 80. And the skin tones are actually pretty close, but I kind of leave it for a second. And here's what I do. I mean, I literally do this. I copy that effect. Well, what I should do, sometimes this backfires if you just copy and paste everything, because then you have to go back and fix everything. But for the sake of this video, let's go ahead and do it. So I've got my film convert on there. And then I go ahead and I use color finale, and in the LUTs here, and I have a favorite go-to one in here, and it's this one, 8170. To me, it just is the most natural looking LUT. So obviously 100% looks ridiculous and insane. So I usually am at 25. If it's S-Log, a lot of times I'm at 30, sometimes 40. It just really depends. You can get super carried away with it, but this is what it was before color finale, and this is after. So still a little bit more contrast, a little bit more color depth. My guess is it's going to end up being a little bit warmer, but I don't want to copy and paste that yet. So, and then of course, I mean, there's so many choices in here. Sometimes I use this 8700. Which actually is pretty muted, but very cool, just simply because my white balance is a little bit off. I mean, there's just so much to choose from. So for now, I'm going to stick to my guns. Stick here, a little bit warmer. And then I just essentially find all of these clips, I copy and paste, make sure it's only copying and pasting, film convert, and color finale, and we look at this shot, look at this shot, look at this shot, and suddenly they don't look crazy. Okay, that's straight out of the camera, and that's with all this correction. So one at a time. This is film convert, really unpacking to that Rec 709, and then just adding a little bit more color. And again, I still think it could be warmer. Like, I mean, look at the skin tones of that. So my Kelvin is 5800 and straight out 5600 is a little bit blue. So I'll have to go back and adjust that, you know, clip by clip. This is going to be very interesting to color grade. But what I do know is I don't need that. And I only need to color grade just this portion. So if I went to balance color, let's see what that does. All right, brightens it up a little bit. I guess I can get behind that. And film emulation. Turn down the grain. Pull up this profile. I'm positive it's just going to be super dark. But all in all, I mean, it's not bad. You know, these colors come out pretty crazy. And a lot of times whenever I do this, I actually back the Cine 4 profile off even more than the S-Log 3. You just get involved in a lot of reds, but see, you can see the greens in here, which is like a notorious Sony thing, but the balance of these colors are great. Look at, this is not centered. So this is clip 153, so I need to actually see something here. I need to see if I shot this in 4K. So 1:53. Interesting. It was shot in 4K. Well, that was super smart of me to shoot in 4K. So here's what I can do to kind of, even this out. I can actually punch in. That's the beauty of 4K. So let's go 125, even though I kind of like the way that this is. And I need to turn this 1 degree. Look at that. A lot better. A lot better. I'm not, it's hard because they're not centered here. Do I move it over just to satisfy that or what? I mean, I can. And I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to back out a little bit. Maybe make it 115. All right, well, I gotta live with that for a second. But that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna copy that, Control C, and then any portions of the ceremony that are the same, like that, I'll do this, although I'm gonna get rid of the transform. And that's a pretty good shot. This one might be different, but part of the reason that copying and pasting is totally fine for me is that at least the programs are there, it can render, and then I can kind of adjust from there. So I am perfectly okay with that. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's really not. The indoor stuff we're gonna have to figure out here, although all of it should be pretty darn close to the same, right? So let's see what just some of the regular indoor stuff would look like. Yeah, that looks good. The only thing is, oh, they copy and pasted the balance color. I don't want to do that. Balance there. All right, so I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to get everything situated here. Let's go ahead and do film convert. And sometimes I do throw some LUTs on the indoor stuff very, very lightly. It just, again, it adds a little bit more contrast. But I often get a little bit nervous that it ends up being too red. So there's that shot, which I actually really like. And this is actually usually a good test, is the letter read. And obviously it's not like a one size fits all. You do actually have to go in and make some adjustments. So that's good. That looks good. I mean, it looks natural. It's not like crazy cinematic. It looks pretty natural. It's out of camera, and there. It's still, Cine 4 is still a little bit of a flat profile, so you got to unpack it a little bit. Let's see what this looks like at 25%. Open the controls. 8170. Looks great. Seriously. That's just with film convert. That's with added LUT. I mean, look how natural it looks. Yeah, I love that. All right, so I know we didn't put the LUT on this one. Just before I get crazy here, start copying and pasting everything. Let's make sure everything's even. Looks great. Really can't be upset by that. So copy. All of this, and we already know the white balance is going to be completely screwed up because of that. So that looks great. It's before, it's after. I mean, it's very subtle. Before, after. Yeah, that definitely, these need some serious help, but that's okay. All right, so all of this is indoor. So I just copy and paste. Definitely some things that need to be modified. Oh, this is not indoor. You know what? I'll go back a step too. You know, one of the things that I forget that I normally do is a lot of times I'll go in here and I'll see if you know, Final Cut can correct some of the stuff without me having to do it manually. Yeah, let's see, that's terrible. So I'll pull up my video scopes and I'll see that definitely red is dominating here, which is not a surprise to me. And so in this case, you know, I would grab, I would grab Film Convert. Copy and paste that for a second. Copy and paste this because it's just not going to work otherwise. And I use the temperature control in here. So there's two things we're going to do here because I can already see it. Is we're going to do the white balance for that. And then you can see there's just too much green. So I bring up my color wheels and I add some magenta. Just until the skin tones look okay. And if we get a little bit too orange or red, I just, you know, increase Kelvin again to adjust for blue. Red's still a little bit higher, but that's okay. We want a little bit of warmth. All right, so I'm going to take this stuff and let's see if anything needs to be like fixed white balance wise. That doesn't do much. All right. So now I'm back, copy and paste. And then, you know, as we go forward, I'll go ahead and I'll do the color balance. Shoot. Sometimes the clips don't, I forget that you know, they're in S-Log. Definitely the downside to copy and paste, so be diligent. I'm just trying to rush here. And again, the reason that I do this instead of taking meticulous time to look through each clip right away is because I know I have to go back through it. I know that I like this program. I know that I like these settings, and you know that develops over time. Everybody's got different preferences that they like, and that's totally fine. And I just go ahead and I do as much of the Cine 4 profile stuff as possible, or I do the S-Log stuff first. It doesn't really matter. I just know that all of this has to render, so if I just go like this, I can go ahead and fix it later. So her letter read is a little darker. I'll just have to fix that. That's definitely a little red, so I'll have to fix that. Yeah, see, and then we're going from daylight to nighttime. I mean, a lot of this is just going to need to be fixed, but that's okay. It's outside, so that's going to be tricky. And then I pretty much just do one act at a time. I don't want too many things happening at once here. Very dark. Okay. Let's see what this Cine 4 profile looks like outside. That actually looks great. Look at that. Oh, I'm so happy for that. very green, but we'll work on that. What in the world? Oh, that went on twice. Okay, I guess I already did that. Okay, and pretty much everything else should be indoors. I don't think I had any outdoor shots except for the final one. And anything that is indoors is obviously going to be darker, so I have to go in and kind of boost that. All right, so I've got all of those shots. I'm going to Control C to copy my S-Log profile now. And then if I didn't say it before, Shift Command and V will paste effects. That's pretty cool. Okay, definitely some things I have to do. You can see that it's still, this one is still a little bit over. Got to pull it down a little bit, rein it in. It's very interesting that this shows the blues being a little bit higher here, but man, it looks kind of neutral in some spots. Interesting. Yep, definitely have to do some more to that. Yeah, pretty easy fixes, to be honest. Oops. Blue, blue, blue. And that's pretty much it. Okay. So for the drone shots, you know, I always go between using the profiles that are from DJI and just using the ones that I just had. So if I did the S-Log stuff, it's probably gonna look super dark. Yeah, I hate it. It looks terrible. So let's see. Oops, this is wrong. DJI. Typically just use the first film one. It looks a little green. Put it at about 50%, and then I'll warm it up and do some other things to it as well. Okay, so this is going to take a while to render, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into each individual clip and manually adjust white balance and make some things warmer. And then I'm going to finish it up. So that's essentially how I do my color grading, just like that in a nutshell. And I know it wasn't as fine-tuned as a lot of people do it, but that's where I start. I just get it all done, and then I will make adjustments case by case make some things a little bit warmer, try to make sure that things, the white balance is relatively consistent throughout. And so in the next video, we will do that and we'll wrap up. We'll do that, we'll do the sharpening and maybe even work on the export settings as well. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you join me in the next and hopefully last video. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.